Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome back to our channel. Once again, I am Raju Updhyay from CIMAGE College, Patna, Department of IT. In continuation to my Java series, today I am going to talk about the concept of static members of a class. Right. So let's start with the concept of static member of a class. So variables and methods declared using the keyword static are called static member of a class. Right. That means inside a class, whenever we write a class, if you declare your variable or a method along with the static keyword, so those members of a class becomes static member of a class. Right. So as we know that non-static member and methods belongs to your instance. That means of a object of a class. But static members, as a static member here, I'm going to talk about the variables and methods only belong to a class. Static members are not part of any instance of a class. That means whenever you create an object of a class within the object of the same class, right, you can't get the copy of static member like variable and methods, right? So static members can be accessed using a class name directly. In other words, we can say there is no need to create instance of a class specifically to use the static members of a class. So there are two different kind of static members we have. One is static variable, another is static method. So let us discuss static variable first, and then I'll be talking about static method. So static variables are also called class variable because they can be accessed using the class name. Whereas non-static variable, it can be called as instance variable or called instance variable, and it can be accessed using the instance reference only, right? That means whenever you have any variable of a class that is declared as instance variable, if you wanted to access that variable, so first of all, you have to create a object of a class, and using their reference variable, you can access it. That means there is only one way out of accessing instance variable of a class using the class reference, right? So static variable occupy single location in the memory. That means inside the memory, it creates a one single common location which can be shared by so many instances of the same class. So these can also be accessed using the instance reference. That means even if you create a static variable, that you can access directly by using the class name, as well as if you have created a reference variable of a class, through that also you can access static variable. So these are accessible in both static and non-static method. Even static methods can change their values, right? That means if you have the static variable, so that variable value can be changed within the static method as well as from the non-static method as well, right? So while declaration, there is no need to initialize the static variable explicitly because they take default value like any other non-static variable, let's say instance variable. As already we know, if you have created an instance variable of a class, and if you create an object of a class, automatically all instance variable gets initialized with their default value. Now the bigger question comes in, why do I require the static variable or static method? Right. So first of all, we'll be talking about why do I require the static variable? So for that, I'll be taking one example, right? So with the example, the things is going to be very, very clear. Suppose you want to keep record about the member of running instance, clear, of a class, right? I wanted to know which instance number is being created or being used. Let's say we have a class. For that class, I've created 20 objects. And after creation of a 20 object, I wanted to know what is the object sequence number. So obviously 20 objects we have created. So I wanted to get a number like 20, right? So if you want to keep track of record about the number of running instances of a class, in that situation, we can create an instance variable, right? Now, apart from that, we are having another concept called static method, right? So static methods are also called class methods. A static method belongs to a class. It can be used with the class name directly. It can also accessible using the instance references. Static method can use the static variable only, right? So if you have created a static variable in a Java, a static method in Java, so static method uses only static variable, whereas non-static method has a power to access both kind of variable, like instance variable as well as static variable, right? So now we will understand everything through the implementation. Now we are going for implementation part, and in order to have the implementation part, I'll be switching over to my console where I can demonstrate everything happening, right? So I'm going to share my screen to everyone. Hope now my screen is visible to everyone. Now I'll start writing code for this, right? So obviously I'll be writing a class out here, class student. Let's say I'm going to take care of students. So my class name is going to be student. Within this class, I'm going to create one static variable. So obviously, I'm going to have the static variable as private. So I'll be writing out here private static data type of the variable as int, and followed by I'm going to have my variable name as count. And let's initialize with 0, right? So this is a static variable. This way you can create a static variable. Now, what I'll do is I'll be creating a constructor through which we can increment the value of this particular variable. So whenever you create an object of a student class, automatically I want that for each and every new object, the value of count will be incremented by 1. That means count variable here, it is going to keep track of new created object of the same class. So here I'll be writing the constructor. So let us write a constructor. It is a name as the class name. Within the constructor, I'll be incrementing the value of count by 1. So here I'll be writing count plus plus, right? The constructor work has been done. Now, after constructor, I'll be having one method which will display the current value of this count variable, right? So here I'll be writing, for that I'll be writing static method, static void. Then let's say I'm going to have a method called show count. So this is the method this is again a static method because I need to give the demonstration on static variable as well as static method. So here I can display the message by writing system dot out dot println, and then we can have some sort of remark out here. The number of object or the number of student, right? And here I can display the value from count variable. So let us complete this. Now we have created one static variable like this, static member of a class. The variable name is count, and I have created out here static method. Now let us use this. For that, I'm going to have one more class out here, right? So here I'm going to have a class like public class followed by class name. So let's say it's a class related to static. So I may write name of a class as static demo. Within this particular class, as usual, we'll be creating a main method. So let us write public static void main. Within this, we'll write a required parameter out here. Now, within this, what we are going to do is now we are going to create an object of student class, right? So here I'll be creating an object of student class. So here write student name, reference variable of the student is S1 equal to new student, right? Now, after that, we'll create one more object of the student class. Now create one more object. That another object reference variable is 2. Now, just you have noticed out here, we have created a 2 objects. That means 2 times constructor of this student class must have been executed. And what we have written in the constructor, I am going to increment the value of this particular count variable by 1. So as already we discussed, this count is a static variable which got created in the independent area of the RAM. And whenever you are creating an object, automatically a constructor gets called. And this count variable is going to incremented. The value of the count variable is getting incremented by 1. So after creating the second object, the value of count would be 2. So how do I understand the value of count would be 2? So for that, what I can do is I can call this particular method, show count. And since show count method is a static method, so as I discussed in my current discussion, if you have the method called static, so that can be directly accessed using the class name. So let us access this particular show count variable through the class name. So what I'll be doing is I'll be calling by writing the class name student, followed by I'll be writing a dot and followed by method name. So my method name is show count. So I'll call this method, and just mind you, I have called this method not through the reference variable. I've called it directly through the class name. That to be noticed. Now what I'll be doing is I'll be creating one more object. So let's say third object is having a reference 3. So now again your constructor will be executed out. That will increment the value of count by 1. Now one more object I'm going to create it, the fourth object, and their reference variable is S4. So again your constructor must have been executed. Now the current value of the count would be 4. But how do I know? Now, as I mentioned in my current video, you can access a static method through the class name, which already we have experienced out here. Now you can access the static method through the reference variable also. So now I'm going to make use of any one of the reference variables. So latest reference variable is S4. So I wanted to get the latest value. So what I can do is I can write S4 dot show count. Right. So I'll be calling this. So obviously this show count is going to be here also. The static method called show count is getting called via a reference variable. Right. Now let us compile and try to run this particular project or program. So this is a class having the main method as static demo. So what I'll be doing is I'll be saving this file with the name of static demo.java. So I'll say file, save as. Right. I'll be going to a particular folder where I wanted to save it. Let's say I wanted to save in D drive. So within the D drive, I'll create a Java file, Java source file. And here I'll be creating a file named as static demo. And here I'm going to compile out. In order to compile it, I'll go to command prompt, right? And here I'll be writing Java C followed by name of the class. And let us make sure whether my screen is visible to you or not. So let me verify. If my screen is not visible, so what I can do is I can do the press screen share for this command prompt. Yes, my screen is visible to you all. So no need to share it again. Clear. So what I'll be doing is I'll be let me increase the font of this so it can be clearly visible to all. So font size is going to be a little bigger. Right. Now here I'll be writing is Java C static demo.java. Right. Thankfully, there is no error. So now let us run this. If you run this, we are going to get the value. So number of student is 2 when we have called it. Just you can notice out here. Here we have called the first call of show count. Student.show count are just after creating a 2 objects. So obviously just after creating a 2 objects, that time the value of count was 2. So that is why we have got the value number of bound is 2. After creating 2 more objects, then if you wanted to get the value, the current instance number, so we can call s4.showCount, and that was displaying the value called number of student as 4, right? So viewers, if you like this particular video, please do click on like button. If you have not subscribed this channel, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe this channel, and don't forget to press on notification bell. If you press the notification bell, automatically you'll be getting my all videos which I am going to release on a regular basis, right? So thanks all for every viewers. Thanks for watching this particular video. Again, I'll be coming with a very latest and burning topic of Java in my next video. So keep watching, and do not forget to ask questions if you have any sort of doubts and question related to this particular static variable or static method, right? So you can drop your question in my comment section. And at the end, I wanted to ask one simple question. If you have any idea about static class, so please do discuss inside the comment box. And if you know any concept of the static class, please do write inside the comment section. And if you have any sort of question related to that, even you can also drop, and I'll revert back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching again our video.